Welcome to The Inside Source, the podcast that is everything sports marketing. From agents and athletes to large and small brands, we are your number one source for inspiration on how to work with athletes. All right, I want to introduce Andrew Merle, a longtime good friend of mine. We met when I first started at Red Bull. He's pretty much the guy that really kind of took me under his wing and showed me how to do the job. So we became close buddies, and then he went on to work at Clif Bar as director of sports marketing, and now heads up all of brand and advertisement marketing at New Balance. Is that correct?
Yep, for North America.
For North
That's
America.
correct. Yep.
That's exciting. How you been during the whole staying locked at home process?
Yeah, it's pretty crazy, but getting pretty settled into the work from home environment. It's been 3 months now, so got a
Awesome.
pretty good groove, I guess, at home at this point.
So when you were at Red Bull, you really came in to build Red Bull's kind of traditional sports athlete marketing background.
Yep.
Um, what was that like, given your background coming out of, I think tennis was kind of your sport that you grew up playing, and then you worked in baseball. Um, what was that process like, given like coming in, starting at a completely different space in this brand that's primarily focused in action sports when you first started?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, it was, I mean, after an initial kind of, adjustment period, it was actually the perfect fit because I started my career in Major League Baseball. I worked for the Red Sox for about 5 years and then the LA Dodgers for a couple of years. So, and I had a publicity background, so I started in PR. So going to Red Bull, everybody, as you well know, a lot of the people at Red Bull, certainly in that time, had a deep action sports background, but there were very few people who had a background like mine within, sort of professional mainstream sports. And as you said, I grew up as a tennis player. So that kind of positioned me really well to be able to kind of build up that new category for Red Bull. The harder part was just I had never been in sports marketing before, and it was a sports marketing role. So I had no experience, signing athletes, putting endorsement contracts together, things like that. So there was a learning curve, but my background
Right.
fit really well.
That's awesome. And then you've obviously worked in it for a number of brands since then, going into Clif Bar, which has a pretty specific kind of adventure athlete profile. And then now currently with New Balance, which is kind of back towards a little bit more of a traditional athlete marketing that we see in a lot of the major brands today. So have you seen those kind of cultures and environment shift, or have they always been kind of like bringing you on to bring some of your experience and expertise from that last role to kind of spice things up a little bit?
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. I feel like I got the Red Bull job because of my, pro sports background. And then I got the Clif Bar job in large part because they looked at what Red Bull did, particularly within action sports, and they wanted kind of some of that Red Bull
Yeah.
special sauce. Yeah, similarly, New Balance, probably like some of the things that, that Clif Bar was doing. And so I think the principles of athlete marketing and sort of endorsements and making the most of endorsements really works regardless of the particular segment of sport that you're in.
Right.
There's obviously some nuances and you need to kind of understand the sport landscape, but once you sort of understand basic best practices, it's pretty transferable, I found, across all the different sports.
Totally. So that kind of brings us into my main kind of topic for this is, why do you believe brands working with athletes is a good investment? Kind of the overall theory behind working with individuals. I don't know if, obviously you've worked with athletes in so many different sport platforms, but like, what's your overarching kind of value that you see out of that process?
Yeah, I mean, the reality is athletes are sort of one of the original influencers, and right now you see so much attention on these, kind of social media influencers and other things like that. But I think athletes are they have that same level of influence or more, but it's grounded in authenticity and talent, and being really best in the world or best in their sport, in that case. And so, I mean, I remember when I was a kid, growing up as a tennis player, and I told you I was going to bring Andre Agassi up, and I will. So Andre Agassi was my idol, and I wanted to buy whatever he was wearing, whatever he was doing. I wanted to play with his racket. I wanted the denim shorts with the spandex underneath it, like the fluorescent colors. And so, I learned from the time that I was 8 years old or whatever, that I wanted to be like certain athletes. And it's the same thing, whether it's Michael Jordan or somebody else, like kids are influenced by that. And depending who you're going after, athletes, I think, have a way of influencing purchase behavior and sort of brand favorability more than really any other vehicle.
Yeah, I just feel like their commitment to their sport is so compelling, and that's that translates always.
Yeah.
That's exciting. What are some good examples that you've been a part of? Obviously, through your very diverse career, it might be hard to drill down, but if you had to come up with a few moments that maybe kind of stuck out to you that were exciting, I don't know if you have anything you could speak to.
Yeah, I mean, certainly there's some stuff that, that I've done, but I think, when I was first joining Red Bull, or at least thinking about joining Red Bull, some of the things that inspired me, this was, I think, 2010. And at that point, Red Bull had, they were working with Shaun White, and they built, the sort of private half pipe, and,
Yeah.
the untouched mountains of Colorado. And that to me was like, holy shit, this is something I've never seen before. And that takes athlete marketing to a whole new level, where it's not just putting a logo on something, but you're actually helping an athlete become better in their sport and kind of changing the game in that sense. And so I just feel like that really inspired me and honestly made me want to work for Red Bull. And then, some of the things that I think it's all about sort of fit, and I think for a brand, you need to know really well what you stand for and what your brand personality is like, and then select athletes and partner with athletes that fit with that. And so, some of the things, at Red Bull, for example, like Ricky Fowler on the golf side, right? Like he just really, his personality really fit with the Red Bull personality. And although golf may not seem like a natural fit for Red Bull, Ricky really was. And so it's selecting that right person. And then, one of the things we did was we tried to take golf out of its natural environment. I remember one of the things we did was we built, sort of a custom golf hole in Washington, D.C., right by the waterfront in Georgetown, probably 100+ yard, kind of shot, and built the, whole tee box and green and everything else, and had, thousands of fans come out for that. And he wound up, without even being able to see the green, wound up hitting a hole in one there. And it's just stuff like that.
That's awesome.
You're creating experiences, and it's more than just the typical kind of traditional endorsement that you think about. So those are the things that I've always tried to do in my career, or the things that inspire me the most.
I think kind of the unique thing with that is, like your first example of Shaun White, is a lot of times the brands diving in and kind of like closing their eyes for a little bit to like, what's the ROI going to be, and really earning that value with the athlete by saying, hey, we see what you want to accomplish, and we want to be a part of that with you. And then secondly is really like meet the athlete halfway with what's being asked of them. Like, all right, if we're going to endorse you, we're endorsing you because of these accomplishments you're going to achieve. But with that, we want to also bring some value and build out some of the marketing aspects and really do it together instead of just take us on a ride. And I feel like that's where the consumer really gets that special experience.
Yeah. And it's like to your point, it's hearing what's important to the athlete. Like I remember at Clif Bar, one of their athletes, Clif Bar obviously more in the kind of endurance and adventure sport space. And one of Clif Bar's athletes was Scott Jurek. And one of the things that really he wanted to do was set the speed record on the Appalachian Trail. And that was something that he wanted to do on his own. But Clif Bar, by being a sponsor and obviously providing the, nutrition along the way, but being able to document that, it reinforces what the brand is all about, but also the product can be naturally integrated into some of these efforts as well. So it's finding those syncs of brand and product together also.
Totally. What are some stuff that you would suggest maybe staying away from if a new brand's listening and they're like, all right, we haven't worked with athlete marketing. I'm starting to get a good idea of what to do. Some of it may be intimidating, hearing from stories of Red Bull and Clif Bar. But I think you can find pieces of it. But I think, what would you suggest that are areas of kind of danger with athletes that you would avoid as a new brand working with them?
Yeah, I think the way to go into it, even if you are doing a sort of one-time engagement, is to ensure that the fit is there. I think you want to try to partner with athletes, whether it's one time or on a monthly basis or an annual basis or more, is finding the athletes that embody what your brand is all about. And then that, I just find that consumers see through something that is not authentic. And if you're just going to write a check to an athlete and have them show up somewhere or put something on their social media, but there's just no authenticity, or the athlete doesn't actually care about what your brand stands for or what your product does, people just see through that. So it's just have the patience, I think, to find the right fit, and you'll be a lot more successful. The things that I see that don't work is just, you're trying to go after the person with the biggest following because you think that that's going to drive your business, and you just, you cut a check and it doesn't work. So I think take a little extra time up front to make sure that it's right. And then I think that would pay dividends.
Yeah, I feel like, marketing in general is always a balance of art and science. So you look at the data, the following, the impact that the numbers suggest, but I don't think you can ever just go off of that, because the marketing creates emotions, which changes consumers' opinions, and that's not done through data-driven, decisions. I think you really got to feel it. And as a new brand, they know what their brand stands for, and what experience they're trying to create. So I think with anything, it's just, not being lazy and spending that extra time. And I think that's what helps those engagements stand out.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, it is art and science that you need to have enough of a following with the athlete that you partner with that they can influence enough people to change your business in some way. And yet you can't look only at the data, because these men and women are people, and the reality is, they're going to speak to their followers in an authentic way. So you want to make sure that comes through well.
Totally. So given obviously the world's been thrown upside down a couple of different directions so far in 2020, I personally feel that the power of individuals and athletes is going to kind of sustain their influence, especially given leagues, organizations, games are a little bit unpredictable right now. Do you see any unique ways that athletes will be leveraged, or kind of what do you suggest is the best way to kind of walk into the space of athlete marketing, given a situation that's unpredictable, even though these guys still have their followings and their expertise? I know that's a bit of a difficult question right now, but
yeah, but I actually think it becomes more important, because I think right now what you're seeing is sort of values and taking a stand on things, and just purpose-driven brands are winning out. And you see a lot of athletes right now also using their platform and their influence to take a stand on things. And so it can be really powerful, I think, right now, to find the right athletes to partner with that believe what you believe, given everything that's going on in the world, right, over the last several months. It's probably more important than ever right now to find that fit and make sure that the beliefs align. But I think there's, if that authenticity and the fit is there, I think it can be even more powerful with what's going on now than, 6 months ago.
Absolutely. I agree. And I think that they have kind of a vehicle that can help drive awareness in those messages and those stories
Yeah.
better
And
than a lot of things.
some people want to, they want to shy away from that. And that's okay too, right? You don't have to take a stand on everything. But I think if you're comfortable and your brand is comfortable and you know what you want to kind of, have your voice,
Yep.
around certain issues, then now's the time. Like, go for it.
Absolutely. Awesome, man. Well, thanks for joining us. It's super fun to catch up. I hope you guys are enjoying the however much longer you're going to be working from home.
Yeah.
Yeah, but thanks for joining. I know that these stories and insights are super valuable. So I think a lot of people will get a lot out of it.
Awesome. I was happy to join, and glad you're doing this. And you also have a lot of expertise and insight that people can learn from. So thanks,
Awesome,
man.
brother. All
All
right. Have
right.
a good one. See ya.
Cool, man. See ya.